So a couple of months ago, I did a video on this rifle here. I'd owned it not quite a year and put about 2,000 rounds through it at that time. I just shared some of my thoughts and kind of how I had things set up primarily for NRL 22 competition. And the summer's gone by quickly and I've been busy, so much so that I've put another 5,000 rounds through this in the space of about 7 months. So we're up to about 7,000 rounds on this gun now, and I've had it about a year and 5 months more or less. Been my primary competition rig, and I've changed up a few things on it. So I just wanted to share my thoughts on this setup after about 7,000 rounds through it. Before I get too far into this, I would really appreciate it if you guys liked these videos, if you do like them, and subscribe. I don't really ever ask people to do that. I'm not intending, I don't make my living doing this. I don't have ambitions to, but it is encouraging to know that these are helpful and people like to watch them. So if you don't mind, I'd really appreciate it. One of the things I brought up in my 2,000 round video is that I'd had a couple of failures to eject. Casings had extracted just fine, but hadn't cleared the chamber. And at that time, I suspected it was how I was manipulating the bolt knob. Maybe I wasn't being forceful with it or whatever. And that was what I figured was going on. Since that time, I discovered that that was a fairly common problem with some of these rifles, and that the cure is simply staking the ejector down in here. And I actually have a video on how to do that. I'll stick the link down in here somewhere. So if you are experiencing any failures to eject, extracts out of the chamber fine, but it doesn't clear, doesn't eject, try staking your ejector. That fixed me right up. Before, I think I had had 2 failures to eject in 2,000 rounds. I've since run another about 5,000 rounds through there since doing that. Not a single problem at all. So that fixed me up. That probably fixed you up too. So got that one out of the way here. One thing I also did a couple of months ago is I switched out my optic. I had been running Arkin for about a year, and pretty good optic. Actually, for the money, they're pretty decent. I had just a couple of issues that I would have liked to see a little bit different on the EP4 line, and I actually have a video about that scope. I'll stick that down in a link too if you're interested in those. Not a lot of complaints on those, but I switched to an Athlon. This is actually the Gen 2 Cronus. Absolutely my favorite scope I've run on anything. Full disclosure, Athlon is one of my sponsors for this season, and I really appreciate working with those guys. They're local to me. They're just up the road 15 or 20 minutes, and I've had Athlon scopes ever since they started coming out. Fantastic folks. Love their products. Great guys. Great warranty if you ever do anything wrong. So switched out for the Cronus here. Absolutely love it. If you can swing one, go for it. I've also got an Ares ETR, fantastic scope. If you're looking to be a little bit more budget friendly for a rimfire gun, Midas TAC, that's a fantastic one. And I even have a Argos Gen 2 that's going to go on a base class gun here as soon as I can get it in my hands. It's still coming. If you've been following with Bergara, they got something neat coming. So that Argos is going to pair just perfectly with that. But this being my open class gun, no limits on an equipment, Cronus is fantastic. I love it. Also swapped out the bolt handle and the bolt knob. These are the Anarchy Outdoors ones. With this scope arrangement, I've got big hands. If it's cold in the winter, I sometimes wear a glove. I like to be able to adjust my bolt to wherever I want it. we're clear. I like to be able to position that knob straight up, give myself a little bit of clearance on the scope, but with the Anarchy Outdoors handle here, you can adjust that to wherever you want it. If you want it up high or way down low, swap out whatever knob you want on it. That's a good piece of kit, so check them out. Stick it back in here. I've run the chassis on this gun ever since I bought it. One thing I did do since the last video is I added the full internal weight kit on the front. Adds a fair bit more weight and balances it out pretty darn nicely. Without that front weight kit inside here, it's a little bit butt heavy. I've really noticed a big difference by adding those. In fact, I could probably get away with a little bit more weight in the front. Right now, the way this rifle sets, it's a little over 13 pounds, so it's getting a little beefy for a 22, but adding the weight really helps. Got rid of the suppressor. Actually, I didn't get rid of it. It's sitting on a pistol in my safe over here. I ran the suppressor on there about a year. It was a lot of fun. A suppressed 22 shooting subsonics, if you haven't done that before, it's pretty cool. You can hear the click, the trigger click, you hear the impact on the steel, and not much else. It's pretty darn fun. The problem is, rimfires are notoriously dirty. There's lots of carbon and unburnt powder and just garbage that comes out of there. Some stays in the chamber, some comes out the end, and your can gets pretty full pretty fast. And I was noticing that if I didn't take that can apart every couple of 100 rounds and really clean it out, one, it was really difficult to clean if I didn't keep up on it, and two, I was noticing pretty decent point of impact changes on my rifle. And that makes sense, right? You're over time adding more weight at the end of the barrel, which changes the harmonics. And I decided the cool factor of having a suppressed 22 didn't outweigh the maintenance and the worry in the back of my mind of, well, is it gonna cause me a problem during a match? And so it had to get relocated. So it's awfully fun, but that's why I dropped that. I've also noticed that on the subject of cleaning, if I'm really good about cleaning the chamber every 500 rounds or so, I keep my accuracy pretty well in check. If you're noticing any kind of first round flyers, or every once in a while, you know, your groups open up randomly, you might have an old carbon ring building up in the chamber. And so what I do is, about every brick or so, just use my nylon brush and some, actually the Vortec rimfire blend stuff here. That's good stuff, doesn't stink. Nylon brush, wet, put it in the chamber, let it set a couple hours, spin it around, scrub it out a little bit. I don't use a brass brush, use a nylon one. I usually run like a dry bore snake through it, clean out the rest of the junk. And then before the next match or morning of the match, season the barrel in, you know, usually takes 20 rounds or so to get back to where exactly it was before. But since I've been keeping up on the chamber maintenance, I've really cut down on those erratic, you know, first shot flyers, or, you know, chasing some groups around. So if you're having any of those issues, clean your bore out once in a while. Other than that, I've had no issues at all. Oil it down once in a while if I've been out in the rain or sweaty hands all over it or whatever. But it has been a rock solid rig. So I can't say this enough. This Bergara is a killer rig. If you're looking for something in that, you know, open class for NRL 22, or, you know, you don't even have to compete with it. If you want a good, solid 22, short Remington short action, you know, you can't go wrong with this. So I love my Bergara. Again, full disclosure, I'm actually sponsored by them this year, and so if you see any Bergara jersey wearing folks out running around, say hi to them. You know, they might know me, and if you get a chance, they'll give you a sticker or something cool. Anyways, I just wanted to give you all an update. Seemed like that last video was kind of popular, so see where things are going. I I have no plans at all actually to change up this setup at all. I did buy another chassis because I thought I'd be cool and have one painted up, and so I've got a fellow working on that. As soon as it comes back, I'll show you that. It might be kind of neat. So anyway, I appreciate you guys watching. Like and subscribe, that is encouraging to me. If you want, no pressure. Again, if you have any questions, I'd love to answer them. I'm pretty responsive, so shoot them down in there. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks for watching. Get some kids out shooting. They're the future of the sport. Thanks again.